Why is there suffering in this world? We don't understand why we must endure brokenness. It is a reality caused by this world. May our hearts and minds be open to receive this message individually as we need to put it into action with compassion. Carrying a backpack. I want to talk about suffering. We all go through suffering at times. We all have burdens we carry. We also suffer when our loved ones are suffering. We can feel helpless and not know what we can do to ease their pain. What to do or even say at times like these. It is awkward, and it will always be awkward. Let us use our imagination. I want you to imagine that you're moving. Do I need to? I want you to imagine that you're moving, okay? You make a trip to Home Depot, you buy the boxes. You get the tape and the Sharpie. You go home, you pack. You have a few heated discussions about what is really needed and what you can leave behind, whether it's with yourself or your significant other. And then you call the mover. And the mover shows up, and you notice that he is carrying this huge and heavy backpack. And you think to yourself, how are they going to carry my stuff, my boxes, if he's carrying this backpack? So of course, he reaches down and picks up the box marked fragile. And you go, and hold your breath. Well, of course, he reaches down and he can't lift this box. He can't. He can't lift it because he's carrying this huge and heavy backpack of his own. So he can't help you because of his burdens that he is carrying. So what does he need to do in order to help us? He needs to take his huge, heavy backpack off and set it aside so he can help us. There are many types of suffering. It is a reality in this world. It's caused by sin and evil. We don't understand it. We don't understand the reasoning behind the trials and tribulations. And most likely, we never will. We wonder why all of us must endure suffering. When this happens to a loved one and they are suffering, how are we to respond? Is there a correct way? Remember, grief isn't logical or predictable. It causes people to feel broken and damaged. This could lead them to cut themselves off from everyone and go into this dark, dark place. They are in pieces, and they are in this tornado of emotions. They can't even think for themselves. In a sense, we are suffering. We are suffering in our own way while we watch our loved ones go through this. not knowing how to help them. We try our best to comfort them, but we cannot. We cannot comfort them. Hope lies in knowing that suffering is not eternal, and on the other side of suffering, there is restoration. It is a time that they feel shattered. And like I said, they go into this dark, dark place. What do they bring with them to this dark, dark place? What are they carrying with them into this dark, dark place? They are carrying this huge, heavy backpack. The burden of grief, sorrow, not able to understand, tornado of emotions. We must help our loved ones not to succumb to this dark place. Hi, Bertie. I heard a story, and I was broken after this story. There was a couple, been married forever and a day, since young, had children, happy, long marriage. The husband gets sick, gets put in the hospital. He never comes home. His wife stays with him at the hospital this whole time. They leave their home, go to the hospital. His wife stands by him this whole time. He passes away. She is so broken, so damaged in this horrible darkness. Her daughter takes her home with her. Go through the motions of what we have to do when a loved one passes. Now, what broke me about this story is this woman, this wife, this mother never could return home. She could not go back to their home, to her home, to all the memories, all the photo albums, all the cherished memories of her children. She could not face going home. You know what she did? She sold her home. Sold her home full of all those memories. The milk in the refrigerator, her clothes hanging in the closet, his clothes hanging in the closet, clothes in the wash machine, clothes in the dryer, dirty dishes in the sink. She was so broken, so damaged. Her burden was so heavy, she could not go home. Never went back. That broke me. As a mother, my Christmas tree is covered with little ornaments my children made. Preschool, elementary school, little handprints, little footprints, crazy little drawings. I put hooks in them and put them on my tree. I'm lucky. I have a Christmas tree that rotates. So I sit on the couch in the morning with my cup of coffee, and my Christmas tree is rotating. So I look up and I see all these treasures. All these treasures. I was broken. I cannot imagine losing those ornaments. I cannot imagine being so broken that I could leave them behind. This broke me. This went in my backpack. I heard this story from a friend who bought the house. Wow. And they were just blown away. They couldn't believe it. So we have to give compassion, understanding if we can, and that people are broken and damaged in their suffering. Now, you may or may not have heard the analogy of a lamp. When someone is hurting, suffering, tornado of emotions, some people say, look for the light. Look for the positive. No one at this time wants to hear, you're going to grow out of this. You're going to learn something. You're going to be a better person. No one ever wants to hear this. No one. So it said to look for this lamp. Okay. Now, what do we think of as a lamp? We think of a light on a table that's plugged into our wall. Now, when you're in this dark place, you can't see this lamp. You don't know which way to turn. It's impossible to see this lamp, to find this lamp, to find the positive out of the moment, out of this season of your life. I say it differently. I say we need to use a flashlight. A flashlight is mobile. A flashlight we can carry in our own backpack. So when our loved one is suffering and in this dark place and can't see their way out of it, what do we have to do? What do we need to do? How do we react with compassion? We grab our flashlight. We set our own backpack aside, our own burdens aside. And what do we have to do? What do we have to do? We have to use our flashlight to walk into this darkness, to find our loved ones. Now, this may not be an easy walk. They're not going to want to be found. They're not going to know how to be found. They're not going to be, hey, here I am. So this may not be an easy walk. This may be a difficult walk. And then once you get there with your flashlight, what's the next thing you have to do? No. No, your flashlight's on.
Oh, it's already on.
You have to carry, you have to take their backpack and carry it for them. You have to put it on. You have to reach out to them and lift them up. And then you use your flashlight and you guide them carefully out of their own darkness. Again, this is not going to be an easy walk. It's not. But do we have to do it for our loved one? Do we have to at least try to get there? To help them, to love them, to give them our compassion, our help. It may not be an easy walk. Like I said, they may not want to get out of the darkness. They may be so consumed in their tornado that they may not even see the flashlight. And that's when we have to reach for them. So first, we have to take our own backpack off. Just like the mover couldn't help us with his own burdens, we have to first take our backpack off before we can go into the darkness and pick up our loved one's backpack. Now, our loved one will never be the same. After suffering, they will never be the same. They will always be broken. But they have to learn to live again in their brokenness. We have to use our patience while they learn to live again in their brokenness. They are damaged. They are going to have good days, bad days, good weeks, bad weeks. We have to be there for them. We have to be in their struggle with them. What are some things that we can do? We have to show up. We have to show up. Again, it's awkward. It's always going to be awkward. We have to show up. We can't go silent. We can't run away. We can't use the excuse, I'm too busy. I'll reach out to them tomorrow. I'm too busy today. Don't say, well, you know, one time I went through this. Do we all suffer in the same way? No. We all suffer differently. We all have different backpacks. So it doesn't matter how you dealt with your suffering. It doesn't matter how you deal with your burden, how you are in your brokenness. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Every one of us deals with it differently. So don't compare. Understand, when they're in this season, and we've all been there, and we think that we're doing something nice by saying, what can I do for you? What do you need? How can I help? We ask them questions. Where are they at? In this tornado. In the darkness. They have trouble getting dressed. Deciding what to eat. The last thing they need is a question to answer. So you have to just do. You have to just do. Call them. Leave a message. Just thinking about you. No need to respond. Text them. Hoping you're okay. No need to respond. Others are calling them. Others are texting them. Do they want to stop and read all these texts and respond to all these texts? They can't. They are unable. So we live in a time that we're busy. I am. Can we stop our lives to go to them, to stay with them? Most likely not. I mean, we may for a day or two, but most likely not. Guess what? Guess what this world allows us to do today? We can call Domino's. We can have pizza delivered. They don't care what they eat. They can't make decisions. But it'll be there. We can show up, take the kids out for ice cream. We can show up, or someone else, with a lawnmower and mow the lawn. It's trash day. Can they even think about that? Can they think about taking their trash can to the road? Getting their recycle bin together? No. They cannot. Guess what else we have nowadays? We have Publix, and we have online grocery shopping. So you can get online, and you can grocery shop and have it delivered. You're showing up, even with calling in for some groceries. Now, does it matter what it is? No, because they can't think. Now, a big can of mac and cheese, or the Stouffer's mac and cheese, oh yeah, that'll work. Who doesn't like mac and cheese when they're hurting? They are damaged, broken, and exhausted. Remember, this is awkward, and it will always be awkward. We have to risk getting it wrong. We have to risk getting it wrong. Because we have to show up. There's a one thing, a go-to thing, that is always a good thing. It needs no response. It's a hug. Just a hug. You can send a card in the mail. It probably will be weeks or months before they open it and read it. Or they may open it and set it aside because they can't. They can't. Now, if this is a time of death, and they are grieving, please say the name of the person that has passed. Validate their lives. Tell stories. Show them what they mean or how they impacted your life, even if it's a little thing. When you're grieving someone that has passed, you need to know that that person mattered. They mattered. In the end, all we want to do is ease their pain, ease their suffering. We want to carry their backpack. How many times have we watched a loved one go through their suffering? We want to pick up their burden. Our hearts are suffering as well. But we have to set our backpack aside to carry theirs. We need to show compassion in even little acts of kindness. I'm going to say a poem by Seneca Darla. I'm going to leave you with this. Oh, I'm sorry, I already did that. That day I heard you cry for the very first time. I can't ever forget your screams, your tears, or the fear I felt in that moment. Your cry for help shattered my heart into pieces. But nowhere near was it as shattered as yours. We all can be a survivor. We must turn our trauma into a source of goodness. We need to impact others out of our trauma and suffering. We need to turn good works out of our suffering. Take our backpack off to carry someone else's. I'm going to leave you with this last thing. We also have to be humble, because there are times that we need someone to carry our backpack. So we have to be humble enough to realize we need someone to carry ours. Thank you.